Okay, so I'm kind of backed up on my video uploading, but by the time you see this, it'll be February. So, hello, time traveler, what's up? So, it's currently 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Isn't that a song? I don't know, but it's 3 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I am walking. Obviously, I'm walking. My legs are moving. I don't know, I just wanted to give an update. I had a really nice live stream not too long ago, where there was a lot of really nice conversation and also some really heavy conversation. Like, there was some things that were talked about that were, you know what I mean, very, very heavy, very healing, you know. And I don't know, I'm reflecting upon my own journey. Once again, it's 3 p.m. and I haven't smoked since like earlier this morning, and I don't know, I'm about to smoke eventually, and I don't know, I'm just like proud of myself, I guess, because I'm like not being a huge fiend. Also, well, let me not say that. One thing about it, healing is not linear. Like, if you're genuinely trying to like better yourself, it's not going to be a linear path. Like, you will have moments where you feel like you're really in control, like you're really on top of everything, and then there will be moments where you feel the opposite. Also, why the fuck? LOL. I'm sorry, they were like children or whatever, but I think they were children. I assume they were. I don't know. But there will be moments where you feel on top of everything, and then there will be moments where you don't. You know, and it's not. The goal is never perfection. A lot of people make the excuse of like, I'm not perfect, and it's like nobody is. That's why we're here to learn. You know, and I don't know. I feel relatively on top of it now in this moment, but then again, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. I wrote it down to write something specifically about addiction. I've wrote about addiction before. This wouldn't be the first. But one of the first things that I wrote down was understand that it's not an internal problem all the time. Like, I'd say 8 times out of 10. Oh my goodness, that little doggy. Actually, I'd say 9.5 times out of 10. It is not an internal thing. It is a manifestation of an external thing, you know? Because when you really think about it, addiction only happens when people are like rejected from their family systems, rejected from their communities, you know? And we could say that there are people in the world who exist who have loving families who are also addicts, but like I would encourage you to really think outside of that and recognize that like maybe it's not actually loving. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not actually supportive if they went down that path. You know, because people can smile in your face and, you know what I mean, pretend all they want, but is it real? Is it genuine love? You know? Like, I don't like talking like this, but from a spiritual perspective, a lot of us were born into really toxic, really fucked up family systems so that we can learn to rise above and learn how to protect ourselves and all that jazz. But that's what it is. And when you're not aware of that, when you don't choose the higher timeline, you fall into addiction, you fall into these patterns, you know, and you're not aware that it's because you're lacking love, because you're not getting support from the genuine support from the people around, you know what I mean? Also, I'm gonna cross the fucking street. But yeah, something to think about, something to ponder for a little bit, because I mean, when you really think about it, like, with all the energy that I've put into not being on this path, and like, you know what I mean, you would think that I would be off this path by now. You would think that I would have cured it. You would think that I would just not be doing that, but obviously that's not how it works entirely. And I think it's quite sad, it's quite unfortunate that there are people in the world who I don't know, for the lack of a better word, choose to be shitty people, choose to be the source of so much issues for others, you know? Because I've talked to a lot of addicts, I've talked to a lot of people who are like deep in the drug world, and even the people that seemingly had a loving family, like there's that underlying energy of like, nobody loves me, you know what I mean? Nobody cares about me. And you know, I'm sorry, I'm like kind of emotional about this sort of stuff, and I'm like trying not to like get swept up in the emotions part, but like, you know, like, and I don't know, like part of me wants to just be like, do better, we need to do better as people who have communities, you know what I mean? Like, but how can I say that to somebody who genuinely just doesn't care, you know? Because it's like if somebody was listening and they needed to do better and they were open to being better, then they would just, you know what I mean? They would, you know what I mean, take those steps. But a lot of people don't really care to be better than they are in this current moment. No judgment, it just is what it is, you know? But because people are thinking so self-centeredly, they're not thinking about how their actions or inactions could negatively impact others. And some people are malicious. Some people will purposely do things to trigger others and to upset people, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm referring to people who, in their selfishness, cause harm. You know what I mean? In their absent-mindedness, cause harm and all that jazz. Another thing about healing is that it is very difficult. It is not the most easy thing to do, you know? Because part of healing is facing your fears, facing things that terrify you, facing things that once felt like death, you know? And some people aren't willing to do that. I was thinking about my cousin, because she came over to my mom's house the other day, and I was thinking about her in that context of like, she's like kind of afraid of dogs or whatever. And I don't know, I don't have that intimate of a relationship with her, but just observing people, like, it seems like that's something that she just doesn't care to, like, get over. And in my opinion, it's one of the lesser fears. I mean, because everybody has dogs. Dogs are everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, from an objective standpoint, it's just kind of like, girl, really? Get over it. Like, face the fucking fear. Like, there's so many opportunities for you to face the fear. You know what I mean? But once again, we all make our own choices. We all have our own lives. No judgment, just lessons, just learning. But you know, like, because me personally, I've done a lot of things that I've been terrified of. I've had to face my fears in a lot of different ways, you know? So when I come from that perspective of like, sometimes you gotta face your fears, it's because I've been there. Like, I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't face my fears in some way. Because I used to be terrified of getting up here and doing this. I used to be terrified of live streaming and stuff, and I had to push through that. I had to force myself to do that. And sometimes in life you just got to do that. You just got to push through the fear. It doesn't mean that you have to continuously do things that you're afraid of, but like, I mean, sometimes to me it's like common sense. It's like basic understanding of like the world, like, you know, especially if it's something that doesn't kill people. Like, sure, dogs, anything, and you could die from anything. Like, like a plane could randomly fall from the sky and kill me. You know what I mean? But, like, when it comes to something like being afraid of dogs, it's like, I think it's like a perfect example of something that, you know, because people find so much enjoyment out of dogs. And, like, who's to say that she, you know, if she were to get over her fear, she could have a dog and, like, make it the love of her life or some shit. I don't know. You know, but you never know until you face the fear. Once again, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be live streaming if I didn't face my fears. Because once again, I used to be fucking terrified. I had to literally force myself to sit in front of the camera. And it works out. It worked out. And I don't know. I make these sorts of videos for people who are open to the information. So, assuming that you, viewer, are open to the information, really consider that when choosing people to have around you, choosing friends. Like, I think some people use this as in a malicious way, but I think one important question to ask when getting to know somebody is like, what are you afraid of? And basically, what is your relationship to that fear? You know, and depending on what somebody says could tell you a lot. And once again, if you're watching this, if you enjoy my videos, you're probably very smart. You probably, you know what I mean? You're probably very spiritual, very in tune, very intelligent. And so you want to be careful who you have around you, because no judgment, no shame, but dumb people, insecure people will do almost anything to make sure that they don't have to feel dumb. You know what I mean? It's quite a paradox, you know, because it's like you're literally quite dumb, but you don't want to be seen as dumb, or you don't want to feel dumb. So you will like sabotage other people so you don't have to feel that. Crazy, right? One of the things we were talking about on stream was our relationship with our families, because I did talk about that a few moments ago, about like people who are addicted and whatnot. Like usually they come from, more often than not, they come from very toxic family systems. And in a way, the addiction is just a manifestation of that. It's like, it's kind of like the universe being like, here's something for you to focus on so you can fix your family issues, you know? But most people don't get to that awareness, and so they don't really, you know, because a lot of people fundamentally look at addiction the wrong way. We look at it as like the problem itself, but it's like, no, there's an underlying problem. It's not feeling loved, not feeling supported. And a lot of psychologists will say, you'll hear, if you like look at people who talk about addiction, they'll tell you that it's not like the addiction itself is not the problem. It is a poor solution to the problem, which is, once again, feeling unloved, feeling unworthy, all that jazz, you know? And knowing that doesn't make it go away. I will say that. Just because you know that doesn't make it just go away. It makes dealing with it a little bit different, because you have the awareness that I'm not doing this because this is just who I am. I'm doing this because I don't have people around me who love me or care about me or make, you know what I mean? Like, and that's something to reconcile with, like, you know? And when you really look at the state of the world and how everybody operates, like, there's a lot of people who are surrounded by people who are just not good for them, who don't really care about them, whether it's work environments, whether it's school environments, like, you know what I mean? And, you know, once again, the easiest way is a chemical transformation, taking a toke, taking a hit, you know what I mean? And once again, I'm gonna smoke pretty soon. I haven't smoked since early this morning. I did have a lot of coffee and that was something, but you know, and I don't know, my awareness, I think, is a thing that I'm super thankful for. Because once again, a lot of people don't get to this place of understanding themselves this deeply. And that's why I make these videos, you know, to reach people who might need what I have to offer. You know, but I don't know where I was going with that. I did talk about addiction quite a lot in my book. I wrote a book. Most of it was written while I was homeless, while I was on meth. And then I edited it, like, after I had stopped doing meth. I hadn't done meth. And then I did meth again since writing the book. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter, but just for context, like, you know. But you can check that out if you check out the description below. Most likely it will be in the link tree. It took me like a year, like more than a year, to write it. Once again, most of it I was homeless during the process of it. And I don't know, it's not about addiction, but it does talk about a lot. It does talk a lot about addiction in relation to spirituality and to, like, you know what I mean, different ways to protect yourself and all that jazz. Like, there's a lot of information in the book. Check that out if you want to. And I don't know, I'm gonna end this here. I'm gonna say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, whatever reason you're here. I hope that you choose to engage with the video. I hope you choose to hit that like button and stay groovy. I hope you know that God loves you. I hope you know whatever you're going through is very fucking temporary. Everything is temporary. It'll be okay if you trust in that, if you believe in that. And yeah, this is